Alright, welcome back to the channel. Today we're in Sandbox, and we're going to make an exoskeleton with a whole bunch of combat features on it. So there's a few parts that I'm going to use to prepare this. First is, I'm going to get a gun with a hollow sight, like this one. And what I want to do is I want to make a sort of helmet where this is attached to my head. I can look normally with both eyes and it's alright. But the hollow sight will be sort of laid over my vision because I'll be looking through it. And then the gun will be remotely controlled. So let me just get some ammo here, and I'm going to set that up. Or at least set up the remote control part. Since it's going to be on my head, I'm going to probably do that last. So I'm going to go over to my keyboard, and using the remote weapons mod, I can press /, shoot the gun, and then if I were to leave it, I can remotely fire it. So while this is on my head, I'll be able to shoot exactly where I'm looking, and it will always be just perfectly accurate. We're going to leave that there for now. And when we do get back to that, we're going to combine it with night vision goggles and then a flashlight mounted to the other side of the head that I can turn on and off. And we're just going to put those all together for now. And then the next piece that we're going to need here is we're going to get a crablet. And we're going to get a crablet plus. Shoot him real quick. And then using the Weldgun mod, we're going to detach the legs from them and use them for some building. Let's see. Oh, I had that in the wrong mode. So we want to unweld, not weld like I just did. Now the rear right leg of these crablets, it's always kind of attached by a mesh, so I'm just gonna fix that back on. And what I'm gonna do next is I'm going to design a sort of exoskeleton arm. It'll be next to my arm here, and I'll have a few joints to manage that. But before I attach it, I'm going to add a few gadgets to it. So the first of which being, I want to have like a sort of blade that I can karate chop with, but also elbow with. Because this method that I'm using will allow you to elbow things. And then I want to use a trash can lid as a shield that will be permanently on my shoulder. So if I were to cross my arm over the other and then look to the side, I would always have a shield there ready to use with both hands free. So to prepare the blade, I'm just going to fix them together, like so. Just line it up decently, doesn't have to be too accurate. And what I might actually do for this is I might freeze the trash can in the air, and then that way I can line it up correctly without the floor getting in the way. So grab that. This will be the shoulder, and we want to make sure that we can sort of straighten the arm most of the way, and elbow as well. So that looks like that'll be a pretty good spot. Let's see. There it is. Unfreezing it. And then we've got a couple more things to get that set up. So we're going to need to get some baseballs or any other small object. And we're going to use these as spring joints. So I'm going to have a baseball on the end by the shoulder. And then I'm going to have a baseball kind of behind my head here. And they're going to have a spring joint. And that'll kind of make it so the shoulder is always smoothly moving back there, but without restricting my movement too much. So we're going to spawn in a few of those. And while we work on this, we don't want to accidentally let go of an item and have it unweld because it gets put into an inventory slot. So I'm going to fill up those inventory slots while I work on it, and then we can empty them up later once the actual build is done. And what I'll do here is first we're going to fix weld baseball to the very end, or maybe not quite the end, maybe a little before, like so. And that'll be sort of around where the shoulder is. We're going to take another baseball. We're going to spring weld it to the first one. I think we'll want to put it around there. So now they're spring welded. They're always going to be attracted to each other. So what we can do is we can take this baseball. We're going to fix weld the baseball first. We're going to say fixed, pick it up, put it right by our shoulder, and then we're going to shoot at my head. So now that ball is going to be roughly where my shoulder is at all times. As I move my head, that ball is going to move around. And then we're just going to crouch down onto the ground here, and we're going to attach our hand to the skeleton. And it looks like we'll want to actually attach it a little further this way. Like so. So now it's not possible to actually accidentally grab it. So we have our full range of motion with our arm here. And then you'll see, yeah, it's always attracted to the shoulder. And we can actually move around to just where the shield is. And of course you can mount even more to this arm if you want. It can hold a lot of weight. But what we're going to do is we're going to actually start working on what I want for my right arm here. And we're not going to do the same setup for the right arm, just so that I'm presenting a few ideas. I don't want as much redundancy here. What we're going to do is we're going to take the smallest leg from the regular crablet here, and we are going to spawn in a gun. And I recommend a small gun just so that it stays out of the way. Personally, I like the Eater 22. And what we're going to do is we're going to use the gun and the leg and everything to make a little flip up one. So when you're not using it, it'll be up on your arm. It'll flip down and you can grab it, shoot with it, and when you let go, it'll spring back out of the way into its own little storage space. So our very first step of that is I want to actually grab it, and I'm going to fix weld the gun to part of the leg here. And that can be a bit of an annoying part of the process, but doable, like so. And then what we can do is we can flip that up, and we're going to now weld the hand to the other end of the leg. And we'll have to kind of do a little bit of trial and error to hopefully get it right. Looks like I got it good the first time. Yep, you can grab the gun, fire it, flip it back. And then the final piece of the puzzle here is we're going to spring weld the gun to the leg there. So now it will always try and return back. So you can use your other hand to just sort of feed it down. You can use it, let go, gets out of the way, and you can reload it even when you're not holding it. So now we have a pretty decent part of our setup, right? So we've got our gun, we've got our shield, we've got some blades. So you can be shielding, shooting, and approaching, and then elbow an enemy with this full setup. So what I want to do next is I want to build my sort of helmet setup that we set some parts aside for earlier, and this is pretty easy. So very first thing we do is we're going to take this gun that we can remotely fire from earlier. We're going to say to fix weld that, and then we're going to line it up so that our right eye looks right through the sight without anything obscuring our vision. Except for the aiming reticle. So there we go. So now what I can do is I can look at something, press the remote fire key, and I will directly shoot at that thing. While we're at it, we can just take the night vision helmet, put it on as normal. It'll make you look pretty darn cool. And then for those extra dark areas, we want to have a flashlight as well, which we'll just weld to the side of the head. And we'll weld it in a spot where it's not in our peripheral vision, just so that we aren't being annoyed by it. And then you can turn it on and off, on demand. Okay, so what I'm thinking here is we could actually have a arm-mounted trash cannon. So we're just going to make it a reasonable size. We're just going to grab it here too, and we're going to use Bone Menu and then the Utilities mod to set the mass quite low on it. Like so. So let's freeze it in the air and weld it. Okay, and then we'll unfreeze it and see how that went. So yeah, we've still got our full range of motion, except now what you can do is you can put stuff in it, aim with the laser, and then using your other hand, you can fire it, and oh gosh, it's a little powerful. This looks absolutely crazy. So we've got the helmet, aiming reticle to look through that doesn't obstruct your vision. You can remotely fire from that gun. Night vision, toggleable flashlight. Our left arm, we have an exoskeleton with blades that we can elbow with, karate chop with, and then if we cross our arm over, we have a shield that we can shoot around. On the other side, we have a pistol that we can grab, use, and when we're done with it, it'll spring back to place. We have a trash cannon, and you can grab it with the other hand and fire that way as well. So now what I want to do is I want to spawn some enemies in and get some combat done with it. Alright, well thanks for watching. I hope this gave you some fun sandbox mode ideas, and I'll see you in the next one. Later!